Right, I think we're gonna go ahead and get started, and I'll keep admitting people as they trickle in. But welcome, everybody. My name's Maria Friedman, and I'm the Executive Director of Rhode Island Coalition for Israel. I'm really thrilled to be doing this safety and Krav Maga situational awareness seminar with Bart Axelrod. Before I turn it over to him, I just wanted to reiterate RICI's mission, if you don't already know, is to combat anti-Semitism, educate about Israel, and strengthen the alliance between the US and Israel. And one of the ways that we can do that is becoming more aware of our surroundings, whether we participate in protests or not. I think as a Jewish person in the current day and age that we live in, it's good to be aware of our surroundings so we can protect ourselves and stand up for ourselves. So before I turn it over to Bart, I just wanted to quickly plug a couple upcoming events that we have that we would love to have you participate in. One is a hostage walk. This will be our fifth one, where we bring attention to the 50 remaining hostages in Gaza with signs and flags. We meet at Lippert Memorial Park in Providence, and you can find more information on our website about that. And then also, we're very thrilled to announce that we're going to be having an in-person fundraiser and award ceremony event on October 19th. I'll put the link in the chat as well so you can register for that exciting event. We're going to have entertainment, food, a lot of great speakers. So with that, I'll hand it over to Bart, who can introduce himself and get started with our seminar.
Okay, well, thank you, Maria. Can you hear me okay? Welcome, everybody. Thank you for attending this seminar. Basically, it's a PowerPoint. It's a presentation that I've been offering over the last several years to my students and to people that came to my school. I own a martial arts school in East Providence where we teach self-defense and specifically Krav Maga, which is an Israeli self-defense system. And so I've been teaching this program for a few years, and Maria reached out to me and asked me if I would make a presentation for your group, which is something that is very much needed because events like the hostage walk and other events where you guys are representing our tribe, so to speak, puts you potentially in harm's way, unfortunately, in the world that we live in today. So my background is that I've been training in self-defense in various systems for most of my life since I was a teenager, and have been very active in living and working around the city, and have had a number of incidents on my own in violent incidents that I have been subject to, which motivated me even beyond learning basic self-defense, motivated me to learn a system that was relatively simple to teach, simple to learn, and would help people as quickly as possible, and that's Krav Maga. 13 years ago, I teamed up with my teacher at the time to start EP Martial Arts in East Providence. And we have been running the school ever since. And we offer a variety of programs, but and some of which I participate in, but the only one that I teach is the self-defense program, the Krav Maga program. So just to review very quickly my qualifications, specifically, I have a black belt in Krav Maga, which means that I was recognized as having a level of proficiency sufficient to or appropriate for teaching. I also have a third-degree black belt in karate, which I've been doing since I was, as I said, a teenager. I have I train in judo extensively. I studied criminal justice. I trained in Israel. And for 17 years, I was an EMT and a paramedic. And for the last 12 years, I was a paramedic in the Boston area, in various communities around Boston, some of which were pretty nice and some of which were pretty lousy. So everything from Chelsea to Newton. So that's a wide range of socioeconomic exposure if you're familiar with the Boston area at all. Chelsea is kind of like Boston, close to South Providence, I would say, by Providence standards. So that being said, I want to delve into the specifics of a little bit of the specifics about Krav Maga and why I started teaching Krav Maga. Um, I'm getting used to the PowerPoint. As I said, I've done this presentation several times, many times, but I've never done it on a PowerPoint. So if I get a little ahead of myself or behind, you'll forgive me. By the way, I just also want to mention that if anybody has any questions as we're going along, feel free to interject, just ask the question, and we'll try to give you some depth in a particular area where it might not be clear, so that I can answer your questions and not leave you with a lot of questions after this. So what is Krav Maga? It's a system that was developed initially, it was developed in Israel, but the roots of it are from a Jewish European champion wrestler and boxer from the 1930s in what is now Czechoslovakia. Emi Lichtenfeld, he and his friends saw fascist gangs coming into Jewish neighborhoods and beating people up. And he got together with his friends. He was a boxer and a wrestler, a champion boxer and a wrestler. So he got together with his friends who were also high-level athletes in combat sports. And from those experiences, he was dealing with people that had very bad intent and weapons and whatnot. So he realized that the boxing and wrestling skills that he had were not adequate for dealing with those types of threats. Fast forward, he got out on one of the last ships to Palestine and got involved with the paramilitary organizations training people. Eventually, when the Israeli army was created, he was the head instructor for close quarter combat, and he developed his ideas of Krav Maga and his systems and his techniques. And then after he retired from the military in the early 60s, he developed a civilian version of Krav Maga. But what sets Krav Maga apart primarily is that it's simple techniques that are applicable over a range of different threats. So it's relatively easy to learn, and it emphasizes dealing with violent attackers and assaults, not sport fighting, as in boxing or wrestling or other combative sports or disciplines. It also has a methodology of training, which is basically all about stress inoculation, because one of the things that we have to learn how to do in order to be effective in a high stress situation is train with some stress. And I'm not saying it's not like bad stress, but it's stress as in maybe somebody doing something that you don't expect, not in a harmful way, not that anybody's going to get hurt, but you get progressively challenged, and by undergoing that training, you develop confidence, and ultimately you're more able to deal with any bad situations that happen. I want to make it clear that, and I was talking to Maria early in this discussion, that I'm going to show you a couple of physical things that you can do to stay safe in a situation, in a crowd situation or a demonstration. But 98% of this lecture or talk or more are going to be just introducing you to concepts of violence and how to stay safe and situational awareness, de-escalation, because 98% of the time you can stay safe by just using common sense and avoiding threats and being aware of what's going on around you. So even though we train in Krav Maga and other martial arts, we train all the time to deal with violence or threats. In reality, most of what's going to keep us safe isn't our ability to fight, it's our ability to avoid threats, and our ability to recognize them and to stay away from situations. Avoidance, awareness, and avoidance. So anyway, that said, let's. So what is self-defense? Self-defense is everything from saying no to having to knock somebody down on the ground, and worse. Self-defense is in self-defense is even avoiding a situation is self-defense. It's all self-defense. Actually, avoidance is the best self-defense. It's the only guaranteed self-defense. And the interesting thing is about martial training and Krav Maga training, we can't quantify our wins. We can't quantify how many people we kept safe as a result of their training. Because when something doesn't happen, there's no way to record the event because the event doesn't happen. But by training, even if it's, at whatever level you're at, even if you can't go all the time or what have you, it doesn't have to be a complete lifestyle change. But by training, gaining confidence, gaining awareness, understanding violence, you can keep yourself safe and you become less of a target. Bad people, I don't want to jump ahead too much, but bad people are not looking for a fight. They're looking for victims. It's just like in the wild, when predators are hunting, they're not hunting the big, strong, aware beasts, whatever it is. If you think of say, for example, a pack of wolves chasing elk, they're not hunting the strongest elk. They're hunting the elk that aren't keeping up, or what have you, or the little ones. And the point is, they don't want to get hurt. Bad people in our society and human societies are the same. They're not hunting. They're not looking for fight. They're looking to dominate and to take advantage of people that are not aware or not able to defend themselves or don't appear to be able to defend themselves. Okay, I spoke about my qualifications already. That's just my instructor, some of my instructors, and a friend in Israel last year. We talked about Krav Maga. We talked about what self-defense is. Okay, so basically, when it comes to self-defense, what I mean by 3 stages of the self-defense incident is before, during, and after. And basically, before the incident, that's when we can keep ourselves safe by using basically using common sense and being aware and keeping ourselves in a safe environment. Okay, so let's see. This isn't exactly working the way I thought it would, but that's fine. So this is we're jumping ahead a little bit to some specifics on violent crime, because I mean, what are we talking about here? We're talking about the point of this talk is about crime in general and violence in general. At the later in the talk, we're going to talk about specifics regarding your situation. Going to, for example, this hostage walk. Um, you're we're putting ourselves out there. Anybody in this walk we're putting ourselves out there, and we're sort of visible, and we can be identified as targets. But I want to get to that later and talk about the specifics of how to keep safe in that situation. This is the first part of what I'm going to talk about, is the stages of violent crime, how it happens. And the first component, as the basically what this is a threat assessment model. And a threat assessment model is a way to understand how something a model is a way to understand how something happens. A threat assessment is this is how threats happen in to individuals. A person has an intent to cause harm. The next step is they are going to evaluate different people in their environment and see who looks like a good target for them. Just like I was saying with animals, they're going to put themselves in a position to interact and to come into contact with you, not physically, but to get close to you. In order for somebody to do anything bad, they have to get close to you. They can't do that from a distance. And at that point, there's going to be an interview. An interview is an interview that you don't want to pass. They're going to want to come and they're going to ask you questions. It's probably going to be a question that is totally irrelevant or makes no sense. It's going to be something like, oh, what time is it? Can you tell me how you have, it might be a panhandling. It could be asking for directions, something that somebody could get on their phone probably. But they're coming to you because they want to see how you react. Are you going to stand up for yourself and you look confident? Are you going to look scared? Are you going to be loud? Are you going to be quiet? How are you going to react? And then if they decide, well, you seem like you're a little bit scary, then they probably will just go find another person. They won't go after you. But if you seem submissive and or scared, they might decide, yeah, well, you're a good candidate, and then they will perhaps, depending on what their motivations are, they might ask you for money. They might ask you for some type of resources, or depending on their motivations, they might want to take you somewhere. So we'll get into that further. Okay, so as I was saying, there's sorry, we've got this here. We've got the intent, the interview, the position, and then your reaction. How are you going to react to their interview, and how are you going to, not so much how are you going to react to an attack, but how are you going to react to their interview, to their coming close and asking you questions. Attack range is proof of a person's bad intent. If a person comes very close to you, then you're in a dangerous situation. And if you learn anything from this time you're spending with me this evening, keep that in mind, that even a stranger coming up to you and getting close to you and interacting with you, that it's not welcome, that you didn't, and you're not comfortable, you have to keep them away. You have to tell them to maintain their distance, because at a distance, they can't really do anything to you. You have time to move. You have time to defend yourself. You have maybe have time to scream and to run. Uh, but if they're right on top of you, they're right in your face, which is inappropriate socially, anyways. At that point, there's nothing you can do. So you wouldn't be able to defend yourself. Nobody could. And so that's a huge red flag. So that's why I made some notes. Try to keep somebody, if they're coming up to you, they're asking you questions, they're a stranger, try to keep them 5 feet away from you. Do not allow somebody to get close to you. And I said I was going to do this later, but having your hands up and saying, stay back, I don't want a problem. Just, what do you want? You can talk to me at a distance. You don't have to come close to me. That is an effective way of stopping them in their tracks and keeping them from potentially harming you. If you're doing this and they keep coming, it's very clear of what their intentions are. Because when they come up to you, they're going to be trying to hide their intentions. They're not going to say, okay, I'm coming up to you because I want to rob you or harm you in some way. No, they're going to come up to you with a fake smile and try to fit into what our expectations as civilized, nice people, what we would expect. It's called social scripts. Social scripts are the things we say to each other to smooth out our relationships and interactions with other people. And they're going to come up and they're going to have a smile. They're going to say, "Oh, could you tell me the time, or you could do this, or can you do that? Or do you have some money, please, etc." And so if you put your hands up and they keep coming, then you know this person has a bad intent. In any case, at that point, the thing you have, your options are make a lot of noise, make it clear you're not going to tolerate them coming up to you that closely, and if you can, is get away from them. So that said, so we'll keep moving on. Okay. So I already said this is proof of evil intent. As close as is a huge red flag. In order for them to attack you and subdue you, they have to be close. And you're in criminal positioning, it's the same thing. Your response can be to keep the person at a distance. And in some cases, we'll get into this, let me see your hands, but if their hands are not showing, it's another red flag. We'll get into that further. I made a reference to this here. The situational awareness. Social scripts are what we use to interact with each other much of the time, on a very light social level, like "Hi, how are you?" All kinds of things. Everything from passing, can you pass the salt and pepper, to holding the door for somebody, or what, or whatever interactions you might have, a light interaction. And bad people are aware of these interactions, and what they do is they basically, the more that they fit into what our expectations are, the more we would tend to let our barriers down and allow them to get into a position where they could possibly attack us. So this is kind of interesting. This is with regard to situational awareness. Pay attention to the situation that you're in, and make sure that the people that are in your space and in the area that you're in, make sure that it makes sense that they're there. For example, what would you say if somebody came onto your say your apartment or your or came into your building or came onto your driveway, if you live in a residential area, and just walked in and got out of a truck and started walking in. It sounds a little bit sketchy in the context of what we're talking about. But then what would you say if this same person was wearing a brown uniform, carrying a box, and got out of a brown truck? Then, okay, they work for UPS. That makes sense. So all I'm saying is that try to pay attention to the context of your surroundings and the people in it, and try to make sure that they fit what your expectations should be. Another thing, they talking about dangerous people. There's two types of dangerous people. There's dangerous people, consciously and unconsciously dangerous. Consciously dangerous is a predator that wants something from you and is going to try to take something from you. An unconsciously dangerous person is a person smoking while he's pumping gas, for example. That's a dangerous person, but it's not the same kind of a dangerous person. So I put that in there. I thought that was interesting, and to help you to try to think about the people that you're interacting with and who you see. I've been teaching a class, self-defense class for middle schoolers, and one of the things that I've been trying to emphasize to them is that if you're in the same sort of concept, um, if it's a summer day and somebody's dressed very in heavy clothes or an overcoat, that's something to notice. There's a lot of things you can notice about people that can give you a prior warning that they might have an intent to cause harm. And so, anything that doesn't fit into the situation. If you're in a parking garage, for example, pay attention to how many people are sitting in their cars and how many of those cars are actually running. You're walking out to carrying bags out to your car. How many people are just sitting in their cars? And that's not really a normal activity in a parking garage. And just as an example, um, as I said, how many of those cars are running? Um, One of the things I wanted to say is that there was a study done in England in the 1980s. It's very relevant, and the study was how how violent criminals relate to people in their environment, and basically they were shown something like 100 different uh, incarcerated people were shown a video of a street scene and of people walking down the street. And there was 87%, or roughly 87% agreement about who they would attack. So this gets back to carrying yourself with confidence, being aware of your surroundings, not looking at your phone uh, or being on the phone when you're walking or in a public space, being aware of who's around you. If you're walking down the street, every once in a while, turn and look around and see who, if anybody, is paying attention to what you're doing, for example. So awareness, avoidance, confidence, showing confidence, but not overcompensating, not trying to look like you're being overcompensating for that. That's important too. Um, there's another threat model that I wanted to describe to you is ability, opportunity, intent, and preclusion. And as it says here, is a way to recognize, avoid, get ready to defend yourself. Anybody who is going to cause you harm needs to meet the ability, opportunity, and intent. And in order for them to cause you harm, there needs to be preclusion, which means that you can't escape. So basically, if a person, I'll give you an example. If there's say there's a 4-year-old child, I have grandkids. Say I I don't buy my 4-year-old grandson an ice cream cone when he wants one, or give him candy or something. I don't know. And he gets mad at me. Well, he's probably not going to get that mad at me. He might get mad at me. But let's say he gets mad at me. This He has the opportunity to harm me if he wants to. He might even have the intent, but he doesn't have the ability because he's a little kid. Um, and I could always just change the subject or do something to preclude his to change his temperament at that moment. But take, for example, a person, say a drunk person, maybe with mental issues, across the street, and you're walking down the street, and he's screaming and yelling, and he sees you, and he starts screaming and yelling at you. Okay, he might have the intent to harm you, uh, and he might have the ability because he's a grown man. Uh, does does he have the opportunity? No, he's not. He's not close enough. And besides, you can walk or run away, so you can preclude his ability to cause you harm. So these are also important points to think about because one of the important points in self-defense is not only defending yourself, but being able to explain what you did and why to, say, law enforcement. Say, for example, you say, for example, uh, somebody is giving you a hard time, and they're pushing you or something, and you push them, and they trip, and they hit their head. Could happen. They could hit their head, and they could end up in the hospital. Um, you would have to explain to the police, um, why you push this person. Their family might come and say, well, he was a good boy. He never did anything wrong. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you were very aggressive, and you did this on purpose. So the ability, the opportunity, the intent, and preclusion, these are all important points for you to be able to explain what you did and why, excuse me, and why you did it. You did it because he had the ability to harm you. He had the apparent intent. You were scared because he was in your face, and you didn't do anything to antagonize him. He just came, and he was scaring you. Maybe he had some friends with him, and you couldn't get away. There was no preclusion. So these are things to think about. Okay, so this is just a reinforcement of that particular statement. Okay, so with regard, I just circling back a little bit to threat, to you being threatened. And back to target selection, as I was mentioning before, from that study in England. It's a Grayson. It was called the Grayson-Stein study. I think it was 1987. A person, when they're deciding if they're going to interact with you and try to harm you in one way or the other, they're going to look at you, and they're going to look at your visible defenses. Are you able to defend yourself? Observable value. Are you wearing diamond rings? Do you have jewelry? Do you have an expensive handbag, etc.? That's what, how are you dressed? That's observable value. Risk. How much risk do they perceive, and what's their perception of the likelihood of them being successful. But I want to talk about of de-escalation, but we're going to get to that in a few minutes. Your visible defenses are basically defined by how you appear, how confident you are. You appear to be able to stand up for yourself. So, okay. When something is happening, it's useful for us to be able to associate the problem with a level with a code. Or there's all kinds of different codes out there that people use. Basically, okay, we live in a potentially dangerous world. Okay, we're all potentially subject to threats from other predators, from people that mean us harm. Not only people that mean us harm. I mean, we could be driving down the road, and we could be driving fast in traffic. That's also an analogous situation. We have to pay very close attention to our surroundings there. So, but we don't want to live our lives in total at a very, very alert level all the time, because it could be exhausting. We want to be able to relax. So what I would call code white is when you're home, you're with your family or loved ones and friends, or you're just relaxing by yourself, whatever, the door is locked and there's no perceived threats, and you're in what you would perceive as a safe space, or what is a safe space for you. A code yellow would be, say, for example, you're in a parking garage or you're walking down the street and you see somebody, they look a little bit potentially a little scary, but it's at a distance. They're maybe, they could, it's just, your thinking, you're just getting a feeling from your gut that maybe you should be careful. That would be a code yellow. You're paying attention, but you're not sure what it is. You're not really concerned about it. If the people turn around, or you walk by and then they turn around and they start following you, that would be, then you potentially have a very threatening situation, a real threat, or maybe they are catching up to you. That is a problem, and potentially a problem. It could still be a coincidence, but you can't assume it's a coincidence. And then code red would be an attack happening. So by putting different situations in your life into those kinds of boxes, I personally find that reduces stress a little bit, because instead of saying, okay, I'm in the city now, I have to be, extremely vigilant at all times. There can be times, depending on the situation, when you can be less vigilant than others. But that's a value judgment. You just have to make those decisions on your own. Certainly, if you're doing a demonstration, demonstrating counter demonstration or demonstrations, those are definitely code orange, code yellow to code orange situations. They're not comfortable situations. This is just a reiterating of what I just said. Code yellow, pay attention. Code orange, a problem exists. There's a threat, but no attack yet. Well, that's it could also be, there's some blending of these. It's not just 100%. You might not know, person's walking over to you, it might be a real threat, but you're not 100% sure yet. And then obviously code red is that's an attack happening. That's the bad. Okay, so let's talk about red flags when it comes to individuals. Individuals that are this basically is under the heading of situational awareness. And this could be, while you're doing a demonstration, people watching you, maybe there's a crowd. This could be at the mall. This could be just walking down the street. It could be in any situation. Okay, so these are some of the red flags. Okay, hidden hands, I mentioned that before. If somebody is not showing their hands, that's a big red flag. You have to indicate to them that, show to see their hands. The reason is that they could be holding a weapon, and depending on what the circumstances are, it's not normal to stand with your hands behind your back like this, for example. Can everybody see that? It's not normal to have even one hand behind your back. It's not necessary for a hardened criminal to necessarily be hiding his hands in order to have a weapon. He could have a weapon deployed in his hand like this. He could have his hand this, and he could have a knife in the palm of it. So it's not just like everything else that we're talking about. There's no 100% hard and fast rules, but these are nonetheless, they're red flags. Weapons check. A weapons check is, let's see. Let me see if I can. That's my little office downstairs. But I got rid of the. So if a weapons check is, for example, the person is going like this, or they're patting their arm, they're going like this because they have something in their pocket, or they might have a weapon and they're trying to hide it, so they're going like this. These are weapons check behaviors that people might do. Innocent act. Well, I mean, innocence act. I'm not sure about that. That's I talked about that when I was referring to scripts. Okay, anti-camera behaviors is looking up because there's cameras everywhere. So looking up towards the ceiling or the wall in the process of interacting with you, that's a huge red flag. Clenching fists like this, huge red flag. There's obviously adrenaline going through their body, and adrenaline based on what their thoughts are and plans, which are causing them to get fidgety. Blading the body, that means like this. So instead of standing like this facing you, now I'm like this. That's a huge red flag, because in order for somebody to hit you, they more than likely are going to come like this, and they're almost looking away. You can't see my face here, but so they're almost looking away, and they might even look away. So that's a big one. As I mentioned earlier, wearing heavy clothing on a summer day, that's a big one. I would say probably wearing light clothing on a winter's day just means he's got problems. So you probably want to stay away from him anyway. Okay, so let's move on. So we just did that. Okay. These are just a final part of situational awareness. I made up a little say something for the kids. Hands. Always check the hands. Count and observe people in your area. Even if you're in a restaurant, for example, or you're in any public setting, Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, whatever, and you're counting, you're looking around the room counting people. What that's doing is, to any potential predator that's checking you out, they're seeing that you are paying attention to the people around you and your surroundings, and that alone is going to keep you safer than you would be otherwise, sitting there in line looking at your phone or what have you. Then a classic one that we all were probably taught by our parents or in school, find the exits in a room, know where the exits are. It's one thing to run, but if you're going to run, make sure you're running to safety. Don't run into a dead end. And so that's the acronym for that. Um, and what is a win? I alluded to that earlier. A win is not having that interaction, not it's going home safe. You didn't have to hit anybody. You didn't have to push anybody. You didn't have to yell at anybody. You just were not there, and that situation didn't happen. That's the most superior win. That's what Sun Tzu would say, is that the greatest victory is not winning 100 battles. It's not having any battles and getting and being safe, or in his case, getting what you want by not fighting. Um, and last point, if it comes to active fighting, it's because you miss clues in your environment. 97% or 98%, what I said earlier, you should be able to walk away from a situation because you're using your smarts and your awareness to avoid threatening people and threatening situations. Um, the best option, if you see something happening, is escape, evade, leave. Okay. So that's what. Okay. Okay. This is if you were to be in a situation where you had to defend yourself, and I'm going to say it again. This is not a self-defense. This is a self-defense class of the most important kind, because self-defense is not fighting, it's avoiding having to fight. If you train to fight, the benefits are it's going to give you confidence and enhance your awareness, make you more formidable in appearance and confidence, and it's going to enhance the skills that that you would otherwise have. But still, the bottom line is avoidance is the successful approach to being safe. And, as I said, I'm talking to a group of people who is vocal in supporting Jewish causes. And that is a very important thing. It's important to all of us. It's important to everyone in not only the Jewish community, but to our society. But at the same time, you're putting yourself in harm's way. We'll get more into that later. From a standpoint of what is the most fundamentally conservative and safest behavior, by virtue of what you're doing, which is extremely important, you're not following this advice, but you can follow it at least in the rest of your life. And God bless you for doing what you're doing, because we need people to go get out there and speak out on our behalf as I said, for not only for the Jewish community, but for our society. But be that as it may, if somebody were to attack you, and Peter, you train, so this specifically, is for you, as well as everybody else. But if you are to be attacked, if you miss the clues and you find yourself in an attack situation, you have to stop the attacker physically. Maybe you can get away, but they've already attacked you. So you've already been in a very traumatic situation. Uh, if you knock them down, as I mentioned earlier, you have to explain to the police what happened. You have to be cleared of criminal charges. You might get sued civilly, and then you have to be able to handle if you get sued, or you have to hire a lawyer, or what have you. So there's only one real win, and that is avoidance. Beating somebody up that tried to attack you is not only is it probably not appropriate for most people, it is not appropriate for most people. Most people probably may not be able to do that physically, but it also, even for the people that can do it, it's very problematic, extremely problematic. Okay. Okay. And then here's a this is a kind of a summary of of how to stay safe in a social situation. Is that people skills are the largest component of self-defense. This was Roy Miller is a mentor of mine. He's written a number of books on violence and how it happens and why it happens. And he was a big influence on me. He's not the only one, but he was one of my biggest influences. And when it comes to staying safe and understanding violence, and this is one of his quotes, because criminals and sociopathic monsters are rare, but the world is full of folks that will attack you for pissing them off. Anyway, so let's go through this. I wanted to get into types of violence. There's two types of predators out there. There's social violence. There's two types of violence. There's social violence and there's asocial violence. Okay, social violence is within a group. It's for setting of boundaries, enforcing rules, establishing social status. And this is something that is not specific to humans. You find it everywhere in the animal world. You can turn on any nature show, and they'll show two rams butting heads against each other, or two bears pushing each other, or two tigers pushing each other. And guess what? They're not killing each other. They're establishing dominance, establishing boundaries, establishing territory, and they're enforcing social status or rules. And it's the same thing with baboons. It's the same thing with monkeys or chimpanzees or what have you. And humans are no different. That's social violence. That's the type of a situation. A social situation is a situation that you can talk somebody out of, because their intent really isn't to hurt you. They might want to, even if they wanted to hurt you, their intent is not to kill you. They also there's other reasons why they do that. Rule enforcement might have there might be a group of them, might be not just one-on-one, etc. But basically, it's a social situation. It's within a group, and it's to accomplish a specific goal. If that goal is met, then the violence probably won't happen. And I'll give you an example. Somebody tells you to get out of here, for example, get away, go home, whatever. You don't go home, then the situation can escalate. There's a saying. Another mentor of mine says that violence comes with instructions. Social violence, they'll tell you what they want. If you cooperate, or you can de-escalate the situation. You may not want to cooperate, but if you cooperate, then the situation will not get worse. You can de-escalate it. An asocial situation is a situation outside of a group. So basically, it's a resource predators and process predators. resource predators are individuals who think for whatever reason that their needs are more important than yours and that their well-being is more important than yours. And they don't feel obliged or compelled by the laws and statutes that they should stop what they're doing because the law tells them. And I'll give you an example. A drug user. A drug user may have a very expensive habit. The habit might cost them $400 a day, or even could cost them $800 a day. Not many people have that much free cash flow in their daily lives that they can afford to spend $400 or $800 a day without with and continue to live. Some people can afford it. Most people can't. So to them, they they need drugs. Like to them, it's their life. And I'll give you an example. I'll give you an analogy. If your children were starving, what would you be willing to do to feed them? Would you be would you be willing to steal? Would you be willing to hurt somebody? To what happens if you perceive that somebody down the street has plenty of resources and plenty of food, but they're not sharing with you, and your children are starving? Well, some people would say that, and I think when it comes down to it, most people would potentially get violent to save their children from starving if they perceive that somebody else has food and they're not giving it to them. So you're saving your children, say. So that's an analogy to the way a person who is on drugs, who needs that money to continue to feed their habit and to keep from suffering. That is how they feel. So imagine you're in a situation, you're the person with the resources, and somebody comes to you when their children are starving and they have a weapon, and they say, okay, I want this from my children. Are you going to be able to talk them out of that? Who thinks that they could talk somebody out of that who has a weapon, who has starving children? Who can talk somebody out of that? No. Anybody, raise your hand if you think you can talk somebody out of that. Okay, you can't. So that's the analogy to the situation of somebody that needs drugs. You have money, or they perceive that you have some value that they can use to get money in order to feed their drug habit. Otherwise, they're going to be suffering. They're going to be in pain and misery all night, or what have you, or possibly die. I don't know, but that's an analogy, and that's why de-escalation doesn't work on somebody like that. You can't say, well, I can can't you understand that, I'm a good person and I don't, I'm not hurting you, so why are you bothering me? I just want to go home. Well, you're talking to a person that is analogous to that mother trying to feed her children. They don't see things that way. The other thing is, with regard to asocial violence, is that they don't see you as being in their group. It's not in a social situation. In social violence, they're trying to enforce territory, group status, etc. In an asocial situation, you're not part of the group. So what happens to you doesn't really matter to them. It only matters that they achieve their goal. And that's the same thing for what are called process predators. For process predators are actually those are the sociopathic crazies that there's not many of them, but they're out there. But there's few of them, fortunately. But those are people for whom that actually the violence is the point is violence. The violence is not a means to an end, as it is with resource predators. Violence is the end, and that violence could be rape, murder, whatever you think it is, or whatever you can imagine, but or worse, up to uh, begging for death, basically, because they torture people. They're out there. There's not many of them, but I'm just saying. I don't want to get too graphic. I don't want to gross anybody out, but that's the reality of the world that we live in. There are people out there like that. We know that. But this is not the primary, point of this lecture. But just so you know, that there are people out there that are actually doing this for that purpose, and then some of them feel like, okay, that's the only time in their life when they really feel alive, when they're taking, demeaning and hurting people. There are people, unfortunately, like that. In any case, those people also cannot be de-escalated, and that is why avoidance is so important, because uh, whether or not you can the social violence, as I said, comes uh, with instructions. These other people, these predators, process predators, and resource predators, they pretend to them. They're not stupid. They'll pretend to maybe to be something that they're not. But but you won't be able if. That's why you have to maintain distance from people. You have to keep strangers away. Not to say that you have to be scared of every stranger. It's contextual, and it's based on it's circumstantial. It's based on what's going on. What are they wearing? What are they doing? Etc. Um, but anyway, I just wanted to address that. Any questions so far? No. Hopefully, I haven't freaked you out or anything. Okay. So this is just reviewing what we had said earlier. One of the things one point that I want to make is about adrenaline. And does everybody know what adrenaline is? Adrenaline is a chemical that your body makes and basically gives you the energy. There's something called fight or flight, which is a basic animal response to stress. And that's why sometimes we get upset. We sometimes say things we don't really, because we get all hyped up, or maybe other people do that. But you've seen it. If you don't do it yourself, that's great. And hopefully, I mean, I've done it, but I hope I don't do it anymore. Um, in any case, people say things that they don't mean, or sometimes people can feel, as a result of an adrenaline, they feel they get very brave, or they feel that they can win an argument that they shouldn't be having, or they feel like maybe they can win a fight that they shouldn't have. So with regard to de-escalation and keeping distance and staying safe in a situation where it's you're already on yellow or orange, code yellow or code orange, because there's a threat. Even if it's somebody that say, for example, that's maybe giving you a very hard time, then you can get excited. You can get your heart starts pumping, and your ability to listen and reason goes down, because the thinking part of your brain is really at some point stops being the primary source of judgment, and your basically your reptilian brain, your amygdala, starts making decisions for you, and you start thinking like a person. that's being threatened by a tiger in Africa, a million years ago. That's the system that we brought up, and humans were developed in very stressful environments a million years ago, and we were never the apex predators that we became. We didn't start out the apex predators that we became. We started out being just trying to survive, and fortunately, because of our ability to work together, we were able to survive and thrive. But we still have those systems in place, even though those natural systems are in place, even though they're not very, a lot of times they're not very productive for us today in today's world. Okay, so let's see. Okay. Okay, we're gonna skip the monkey. The monkey dance is the social is the structure of a social conflict. We're gonna just kind of skip through that. That's like where somebody's looking at somebody and they're not agreeing, or looking at them. Somebody looks at you and says, "What are you looking at?" That's almost like a guy thing. I don't think it happens as much with women. It's more of something that happens with men, a territorial behavior of males. And it can happen with women, but it's not, it's more of a male oriented reaction and situation. Um, so when it comes to, this is a slide on de-escalation. When it comes to a situation where you're trying to de-escalate somebody who is perhaps adrenalized and is in a social situation where they're trying to get you to leave, or they're trying to get you to see their point, or they're getting mad, or what have you. These are just common sense things, but they are very important, and they're difficult when you're adrenalized. It's difficult to make rational, correct decisions when you're adrenalized. Do not insult them. That can happen. It's just a natural reaction when you're threatened sometimes. Don't challenge them. Don't deny to yourself. If you're in a situation, don't deny it's happening. But leave them with face saving. If it's a person that you despise, or situation that you despise. Maybe it's some person at a demonstration who's screaming at you. Uh, don't challenge them. Leave them face-saving exit. Don't say anything that's going to antagonize them. Just you don't have to apologize. You can say I didn't mean to. You can say I did something along the lines of I didn't mean it as a personal affront or what have you. But you don't. The main thing is in de-escalation, don't try to get the last word in. Don't try to don't give them the ability to feel like, let them win in their heads. It doesn't matter. What matters is that the situation didn't escalate, and that you were able to go home safe. Okay, we're gonna skip this. This was just talking about the adrenaline. Okay, so just a little bit more detail on adrenaline. It causes you to get tunnel vision. You don't see what's going on around you. Your sometimes your hearing is affected. Your emotions get affected. That it's a chemical reaction body to help us basically to run away from saber-toothed tigers, basically. And we still have that system in place. Okay. So, okay, these are things that can happen if you have if you this well, that actually you're in a physical conflict and you fight back. Um, um, basically, uh, this is not really super relevant to this particular situation, but if you're running, if you push somebody and they run away and you end up chasing them, then uh, it's then you become the the aggressor. Just keep in mind that there's a fairly fine line between being the victim and being the attacker, and that the police in a situation be at a demonstration, and the police don't know who the attacker and who was the instigator and who was the defender, just defending themselves. And I've been in situations. I didn't mention it, but I was I guess I mentioned it earlier, but I was a paramedic in the Boston area. I saw altercations where the third, it was impossible to tell who was the good person and who was the bad person who started it. And the police have a real problem with that. So you can't assume that the police are going to know that you didn't start a situation. You just have to be aware of that. And just use the de-escalation techniques that I talked about, and try to you know keep your distance so that you don't have to explain to the police what happened. Okay, the acronym for calming people down that actually can work, because he's telling somebody to calm down. That never works. That's the last thing that you should say. Calm down. That happens. People do that all the time. That doesn't work. It's just because they're adrenalized, and all they hear is you yelling at them or you telling them to do something that they don't want to do. So it has the opposite effect. But the one word that does have effect is the acronym EAT, EAT. Empathy absorbs tension, and if you can empathize with a person, then you can potentially de-escalate a situation. It's got to be a social situation, but it's in a situation that where you guys are going to find yourselves, uh, where particularly with regard to protesters and whatnot, those are basically social situations. They're trying to tell you to stop doing what you're doing, and they're trying to tell you that you're wrong and why you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. That's a social situation. They're they're trying to create. They're setting. They're creating or establishing boundaries and rules for behavior, and in their minds you're not following those guidelines. So they're trying to correct your behavior in their minds, and that's what basically defines social violence and social situations. So this type of approach is relevant to that. So empathy, empathy, empathy. I'm not saying agree with them, but I'm saying if you potentially show that you understand some of their concerns or what have you. I'm not telling you how to do it because I don't know exactly how to do it, but um, this is another good acronym for de-escalation, which can help you the empathy aspects of de-escalation. Um, five basic tools to generate voluntary compliance. Um, okay, listen, empathize, ask, paraphrase, and summarize. This is from the book Verbal Judo by George Thompson. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. It's an excellent book, and it's a very useful book. So listen to what they have to say, empathize with them, ask questions, paraphrase what they're saying to show that you're listening, summarize, and keep them away. But those can the leaps. That's a good acronym to try to remember. And I there's a bibliography at the end of this talk that well, make some recommendations on books. Okay. Uh, this was just a reference to the asocial behavior. Um, when most of the world was in tribes or clans, people from other groups weren't considered fully human. It was okay to kill them, take their stuff, and enslave them. And muggers and criminals continue this tradition today. So basically, it's part of our lamentable history, human history, or as Winston Churchill said, lamentable catalog of human crimes. Um, so okay, so we already talked about asocial violence. Um, let's see. Does anybody have any questions? I hope I'm not boring you guys. Nobody's asked anything. Okay.
Oh, I think somebody raised their
Okay.
hand.
Oh, okay. Hi.
I
Hi.
well, my
Hi.
my question is more like a situation, so I don't know if you want me to ask now or later.
Yeah, sure. You can ask.
Okay, so this just happened to me and I wasn't sure what to do. I was walking late Friday night on down Hope Street alone, and there weren't many cars, and I noticed a car kind of pulled up kind of close to where I was,
Okay.
and it seemed a little weird to me. Uh,
Yes.
but I didn't know what to do, so I just kept walking, and the next thing I knew, they threw like water balloons at me, water bombs at me. Uh,
Oh, really?
yeah, so I don't know if I mean, should I have like walked into someone's steps? Should I have turned back? I mean, I don't know. If I
Well, I mean,
something was weird about this car pulling up sort of the way it did.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
but I mean, it could have been anything, obviously.
yeah. Could you see who was in the car?
Yeah, I looked back because it was a little weird, and it was a man and a woman. The woman was turning, getting something from the back. So it it looked like two younger kind of people, but again, that also looks kind of weird. Like, why would I
Yeah.
don't
Why would they
know,
be pulling over right near you? How
yeah.
close to you did they pull over? Right near you?
Um, I mean, I kept walking, but they pulled up. So I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty close
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah. Well, I would say not necessarily go to a doorway, but maybe go in the opposite direction, or maybe yeah, it's kind of threatening. If if it if it looks if something looks strange, as I was saying before, it's kind of like the person wearing a winter coat in the summertime, or other behaviors that don't quite fit and make sense or fit. That's really the heart of situational awareness, is looking at a situation, whatever it is, and if there's something about it that doesn't sit right, then making a change, and then doing, acting and moving, and it never involves standing still. It might involve moving, getting out of a situation, or and just one of the key points, and I didn't make this point yet. But it's critical. Is to listen to your gut, and you had the right instincts. Your gut was telling you, yeah, this doesn't make sense. You should always listen to your gut. Did anybody read the book Thinking Fast and Slow? There's decisions that you make uh, in your frontal cortex. Things we think about, and then there's decisions that we come to, or conclusions that we come to much faster. And the feeling that we get in our gut when we feel good or bad about something, those aren't just, it's not really just our gut or our hunches. The reason we have those feelings is because at some level, subconscious level, we've already evaluated the situation. And that's how our ancestors stayed safe in a very dangerous world with predators all around that could have us for dinner, because we didn't have to think about a situation. We had a feeling and we reacted to that feeling. And that there's an excellent book that I recommend, written by Gavin de Becker, called The Gift of Fear. I recommend everybody, if you're interested, if you feel that you want to read it, you read it. If you've been considering that you've been sitting here listening to me blabber on for almost an hour and a half, I would say that you're at least interested enough that you should read some of my sources, because they're much more well spoken than I am. But I highly recommend Gavin de Becker, A Gift of Fear. And what that book is about is that when you feel fear, that is the gift that he's talking about, because it's your unconscious mind telling you that something is wrong with a situation. The perfect example, and one that he uses, is that a woman she lives in the city. She's carrying 2 bags of groceries home. They're kind of heavy, and as she's walking up the stairs to the front door of her apartment building, a couple of cans fall, and then all of a sudden this good-looking guy comes up right behind her and says, "Oh, let me help you with those. Let me." And she doesn't want him. She doesn't want his help, but he's there. He's attractive. He's helping her, and she didn't really want to let him into her building, but he's right there, and it was a little bit socially awkward. So she says, "No, just let me. I just want to help. Let me help." So to make a long story short, you can imagine she ends up letting him into her apartment to help her with the bag that tears, and then she is raped. And then he's promising her he's not going to cause her any harm. He's going to leave. And then he gets up for a minute, and the minute he gets up, she gets up, and she starts sneaking out, tiptoeing out of the apartment. And as she's tiptoeing past him, he's in the kitchen grabbing a knife. And she got out of the apartment alive. But the point of it is, listen to your gut. If your gut tells you something's wrong, it's probably wrong. And it's not don't tell yourself, "Oh, don't worry about it. I'm sure it's nothing." Because at some level, your subconscious mind has already evaluated the situation and knows that it's not right. And so then the next thing you have to do is you have to get out of there. You have to listen to your gut. You have to get out of there. One of the things that, I've been talking about de-escalation techniques and interacting with potentially bad people and whatnot. One of the things they use against us, and we use against ourselves, is our social conditioning and the way we're taught not to be rude and not to say things that are going to hurt people's feelings, what have you. Bad people use those social conditioning against us, and they might even, if you say something like, "Get away from me, you're bothering me," they might pretend they're all hurt because, how could you think that about them, or what have you. They know the game. They're playing a game. They're playing a role, and they know how to manipulate us. So that's my answer to that. hopefully, yes, Elena. I'm sorry, I can't hear
No,
you.
I fixed it. Okay. Um, I actually had wanted to say something else, but I also did want to say one thing about something relevant to what she said. I don't know, somewhere around the time I turned 60 or something, I stopped worrying about what everybody else thought. And it was incredibly liberating when I was nervous about a situation, because I realized what you're saying about they manipulate us and social stuff. It's
Yes.
it's like I saved my own life one time. Two guys came, what do they call it when they street race? Two guys came down Rochambeau next to each other racing, and I was driving up
Wow.
it. And in
Wow.
2 seconds flat, I drove on the sidewalk. And I
Wow.
thought, you're not supposed to drive on the sidewalk. Who gives a bleep? I don't
Yeah,
want to be in a
exactly.
head on. You know,
Yeah.
these guys were moving, they were racing. And I drove on the sidewalk. I didn't even remember to beat my horn till later because I was so rattled. But I did the important part, which was get off the streets.
Yes.
And there was
Yes.
a time when somebody was following me. I was walking home from a Seder really late at night, and I was trying to be aware. And that dark-skinned Hispanic man came going the other direction. And I just, to not like be quite so rude and like look back, I looked in a window and he had turned around and was following me. And I thought, I don't give a bleep what he thinks. And I walked right out in the street, and I walked in the middle of the street. There was hardly any traffic, but in the middle of the street, I could run it any which way. People could see me. Cars coming were going to be looking around to see what was going on, that I was in the middle of the street, and he left. And
Yes.
a lot of it is, I'm finding, I just really want to emphasize, especially as women, we're supposed to be nice. We're not supposed to insult black
Exactly.
people. We're not supposed to
Exactly.
insult gay people. We're not
Right.
supposed to insult somebody we know.
Right.
And,
Right.
and
Right.
I mean, you can't walk in front of a car that's following you to cross the street. But if you get behind them, you can cross the street, and then they're going the wrong way all of a sudden, or you go the other
Right.
direction.
Right.
Baruch Hashem, it was only a balloon they threw at you. There was a period where we had some people who went
Right.
around winging eggs at people in the neighborhood, and they were moving, so the eggs were moving, and it hurt. But the thing I had originally wanted to say was that I have PTSD, and right now it's really it goes up and down, and it's worse because of certain things happening in our society and our community,
Yes.
and it just
Yes.
scary. And I just want to say this for people who may or may not know they have PTSD. The adrenal thing sometimes happens differently with us. If you have one of the classic things of PTSD is that you are an over adrenaline secretor. You, the least little thing, and boom, you are flooded with adrenaline,
Mhm.
and it freaks you out. And sometimes it's so much you can't think. So
Right.
you go the other way, you become paralyzed. And I
Mm.
really had to learn to tell myself sometimes, you're not
Mm.
going to die. You're not going to die. Think. You're not going to, it's because a little thing can just really set me off. And it's not necessarily what gave me PTSD in the first place. It's just I do too much adrenaline. And one of the gifts of therapy was I learned some meditation techniques. So I
Mhm.
was actually driving down the highway one day, and two cars collided almost right in front of me, blast. And I was headed for them, and I stepped on the brakes, and I actually felt in my gut the adrenaline shooting out. And I just said, no, we're not doing this. And I just sort of like clamped down somehow on it. And
Wow.
so I'm just saying, in the
For
middle of
you.
all this, you may have your own body things that you have to respect,
Yeah.
still look out for yourself.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the biggest
Thank you.
thing is
Yeah.
don't worry about what other people think. You
Yeah.
need to survive.
Thank you for that, Elena. That was very important and uh, very profound and well said. So I would like to, it's 7:20, so it's 7:30 now. I would like to skip forward. I've covered a lot of the background about violence that I wanted to discuss with you guys, but I want to get specifically, if you can give me a few more minutes, I'd like to just address specific situation that you find yourself in, say at a demonstration, and I did some because I spoke to Maria about that situation, and I mean, although I have some basic training about how to get out of how to protect yourself in a crowd and how to get out of a crowd, and I can demonstrate that in a few minutes. But I would also like to just tell you about what I did some research on it and spoke to some very, very experienced mentors of mine about the situation that you guys find yourself in these at these events. And I'd just like to address that. Is that okay? So, okay. So what I would like to, okay. So, let's see. Skipped ahead a little bit accidentally. Okay. So I want to go back one. So let's look at your situation. Counter demonstrations, demonstrations. As I addressed, as I mentioned earlier, you're putting yourself in harm's way. So from a strictly safety standpoint, you're not doing, you're not prioritizing safety. And as I said earlier, God bless you for doing that because you're standing up against the forces of ignorance and mostly ignorance, ignorance or worse. We can see we're not keeping Peter up. Anyway, so bless you for that. But you've taken out your best defense, which is not being there. No matter what you guys do, even if you do everything legally, you're going to be portrayed as the bad guys. The system is very corrupt. The things that people who are demonstrating against Israel have done and have gotten away with is just shows the level of corruption. They breaking laws all over the country, all over the world, and they don't even get charged. So that's what I'm talking about, a corrupt system. We're fighting against a corrupt system. So basically, that's the political climate that we're operating in, that you're operating in. So when it comes to being in that situation, being out in public, these are some of the things that you guys should do, which is obviously to stick together, try to avoid direct conflict. It's better to avoid than to de-escalate, especially in a charged and group environment, because people behave as badly as people can behave individually. They behave worse in groups. It's a function of human psychology that in groups, people behave worse and they treat each other worse. There's more violence, there's worse violence, etc. So keep that in mind. That's the situation that you're potentially being exposed to. If you do have to defend yourself, you can't hold your hands up in fists. You have to hold your hands up like this and keep people away. You can't look like you're fighting somebody, or else you're going to be probably the bad guys anyway if there's any kind of physical conflict. But you have to keep your palms open at all times. And some of the other de-escalation techniques I just discussed earlier are relevant, but very difficult as I said, in a charged group environment. Okay. If tensions, so avoid provocations, don't engage with counter demonstrators or antagonistic individuals. Try to keep a low profile. I love what Grace has been doing. Grace Relihan, she's told me that she showed me pictures of her at demonstrations, and she has a sign that says free hugs. So at least it's it's de-escalatory, and it's important to that way you're out there and you're having your voice be heard, but at the same time you're doing it in a non-confrontational way, which is important for your own safety, and also because for all the cameras that are out there. Okay, then there's some, in situations that escalate in group settings, it might be a good idea to bring a bandana to these events, because if it ever were to get worse, and there was ever tear gas or anything like that, you would want to be able to breathe, and not that you would wear the bandana, but hold it to your face. If you tie it around your face, you're going to look like one of the bad guys. But you can hold it, you can take it, bunch it up, and hold it to your nose like that, so that you can breathe, and you get some. You can. Otherwise, you won't be able to breathe, or you'll make you very sick. So let's see. So these are just basic, simple things. Wear comfortable shoes, not flip flops. No scarves or anything that can be grabbed. You should be bringing, first aid, water, snacks. You guys already know this. I'm sure you've already been through all this stuff. Be Understand the area that you're in very well, and maybe have a secondary meeting place in case things get screwy and you have to move. If necessary, maybe get somebody print out maps of where you're gonna, of a secondary place to go, so that if you do have to move, then everybody can, you can all make sure that you all end up in the same place, and you know that you're safe, and you know that your friends are safe. Okay, I basically said that. This is a good one. If you have a backpack or a purse, just hold it in front of you. It can act as a shield. And then if you get caught in the middle of a hostile group, move across the group like a riptide. Don't swim directly against it. Cut across it. Does that make any sense? Cut across the group like you at an angle, like you would across a riptide. And at a slightly forward angle, so you won't bring too much attention on yourself. If you're singled out, don't try to engage. Don't in a fight or push them away, and don't run. They'll chase you. Work your way to the side of the group and lose yourself in the crowd. Fighting is no option, or it's the worst option. And as I said earlier, in a situation, even if it was a one-on-one situation, the cops are going to be stressed out. They're not going to know who the good guys and the bad guys are. Don't expect them to take your side. They won't take anybody's side. They're under significant stress, and they're just going to be dealing with what's in front of them, and they're not making any assumptions for the most part. Some of them might be better than others, but for the most part, they're going to be just dealing with what's in front of them, and they're not going to assume anything. It says here, approach them with caution. You could be thrown to the ground and arrested, shot with a water cannon, tear gas, etc. You don't know. So be very cautious, even about the police. If you're asthmatic, don't even go to the event. Don't let anybody go to the event who's asthmatic, because if it escalates and tear gas is sent, an asthmatic person could be very seriously harmed. And if you do get tear gassed, don't rub your eyes, get rid of your contacts, and then eventually, when you get it home, throw out your clothes. When I was working in Waltham as a paramedic, I went to an event where a individual, it was during the summer, a guy, this big, strong guy, he looked like he lifted weights all the time. He was sprayed in the chest with pepper spray. And he was a big, strong guy. He was about 40 years old. He was crying like a baby. He wasn't even sprayed in the face. was just on his chest. And there was nothing that could be done for him. He got to the hospital. We took him to the hospital, and they took diluted dish soap and patted it around his body to draw out the pepper spray. But that was all they could do for him. So anyway, keep your head down, avoid eye contact, walk with a purpose. Kind of good. Well, actually, if you're in a group at a demonstration, yeah, keep your head down. If you're walking on your own, keep your head up and look around you. If you get knocked down to the ground, curl up in a ball. Keep your elbows tight, like this. Keep your knees. Bring your knees up to your elbow. Tuck your chin. Keep your hands on either side of your head. Protect your head. Afterwards, check with check. Well, I didn't say this before, but let people know, that you're going to this event, and then check in with them afterwards, and meet with your friends and figure out a plan for next time. So anyway, in conclusion, and before I get to the conclusion, I just want to show you a couple of things. As in a situation that I want to keep somebody away, I'm standing like this. Right? I'm not standing like this. I'm standing like this. I'm saying, okay, get away. Leave me alone. I don't want trouble. Okay, it's okay to move your hands, but your hands are like this. And if you have to, you can block. You can protect yourself. You can block overhead. You can block down below, but you mainly want to protect your head. But you don't want your hands in like this. You want your hands out here. Okay. So, and if you have to keep somebody away, you can do this. Stay away from me. Like that. Okay. So it's not technical. It's very basic, and it works. Look at the angle of my hands. My hands are not like this. That's a very vulnerable situation. They can pull me like this. They can't pull me so easily. And also I'm standing basically with 1 foot forward and 1 foot back. I'm on, my feet are in an angle. I'm not standing with my feet straight, like I'm standing waiting for a bus. I'm standing like I'm about to run for a race. That's a good analogy. Okay, the other thing I wanted to show you is if you're in a group and you want to get out of the group, you can go like this and just kind of edge people out of the way. That's basically holding your hands over your head and going like this with your elbows forward like this. Okay, and then from this position, you can swim through people. Okay, you're literally swimming through people. You're going like this and then swimming, protecting your head and swimming. Okay, there's one more thing that I want to show you, which is this. You're covering your head, you bring your hands over, and you're like this. You're looking forward, but you're not looking up. You're keeping your head down and going forward like this. That's another way to get through a crowd. You're protecting your head. They come at you, they're going to get an elbow. If they come at me here, they're going to get an elbow. And I'm just going through. And I can still swim out from this position. I can swim like that. Basically grabbing person's shoulder, another person's shoulders, getting out. I could be like this or I could this. It doesn't really matter. You could even do it like this. But basically you're putting an elbow out in front and you're protecting your head. And that's actually, I call that the turtle. And basically it's just putting you in a position where you can swim out. So those are, so basically I want to wrap up and just say that violence is not special in our world. It's basically how our world works. If you're and if you think about it, I mean, what do we eat? And unless we're vegan, we're eating animal products. And even if we're vegan, we're eating plant products. And at some level, even plucking vegetables or grains, you're still killing the life form, such as it is. It's a maybe vegetables, but it is a life form. So all life, unfortunately, in our world lives in violence at some level. So that's my perspective on it, and that's my that's the way I think things are. These are a few of the individuals that were my mentors. I didn't mention Gavin de Becker in this. I think I have a bibliography next. Rory Miller. He wrote a book called Meditations on Violence. And he's an extremely good writer, extremely experienced person, and the primary influence on me in understanding these different concepts. And if you read the book, you'll see reference to many of the things that I mentioned today, along with Jeffrey Berger, Nick Hughes. Nick Hughes wrote an excellent book called How to Be Your Own Bodyguard. And I recommend that book if you get a chance to pick it up. You can pick it up on Amazon. You can pick all these up on Amazon. Gershon Ben Karen was a teacher of mine, but he's very influential, but his books were more technique based. Here's my my bibliography books that I recommend. Meditations on Violence is very good, very comprehensive. Facing Violence is a little bit more. It's also Rory Miller. It's a little bit more how to, whereas Meditations on Violence is a little bit just explaining how the world works. Or violence in the world works. Gift of Fear, I mentioned that earlier. I highly recommend that. How to Be Your Own Bodyguard, Nick Hughes. And as I had earlier mentioned, Verbal Judo by George Thompson. So anyway, thank you guys. You're very patient, and it was nice to talk to you. And thank you for listening to my long talk. And I hope that you find it helpful.
Yes, very helpful. Are we going to be able to get a copy of the bibliography?
Yeah, how would we do that, Maria?
Bart, you could email me that information and I can send it to all the participants via
Okay. Well, I can email it individually, or you can send them the whole thing, and because I did email it to you earlier.
Yeah, I'll connect with you after the event and make sure we can get it to everybody. But thank
Okay.
you so much for your information
Oh,
and
you're very welcome.
insight. It was a really amazing presentation. And once again, don't forget to actually go to East Providence Martial Arts and check out
Oh,
some
thank you.
classes with
Yeah,
Bart and the
yeah.
other instructors. And also, of course, RICoalitionforisrael.org. I put our website in the chat. Please stay up to date with our upcoming events and activities. And thank you, everybody.
Yeah, and
Thank
I'd like
you so much.
to support you guys. I don't know the best way to do it, but what you're doing is great. I commend you.
Thank
Thank
you. We
you.
have a big red donate button on our website that you
Oh,
won't be able
okay.
to miss.
All right.
So that's a great
Sounds
way to
good.
help if anyone feels compelled. Thank you so much.
Yes, I do. Okay, very good.
Good.
Well,
Thank
nice to meet you folks, and thanks again for
Thank
for
you.
listening. And thank you, Maria.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right.
Have a great night.
Take
Thanks.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.